All right. Well, there's some news stories that struck me as important, and perhaps the most important one is over here. Um, if you are going to become a security professional, you will have to get CISSP certification, and we'll teach that class at City College next semester. It's your union card for this business. And that's run by this company called ISC Squared, and there have always been a lot of complaints about ISC Squared, which is true of almost every technical internet related business I know. So they're the company that issues this certification, and they charge a lot of money for the certification, and you have to pay a lot of money every year to renew it, and everybody does. And there's huge battles, and here's what they're doing. Wim Reams is a highly respected security professional who got, I think, on the board or the administrative body of ISC Squared, and he is protesting. And here's what he says: there's an upcoming vote which members of ISC Squared can vote on, and apparently it is insane. They are planning to change the body to basically turn it from a democracy into a dictatorship, not unlike the U.S. government and many others. So they're going to stop having elections. They're going to have a slate of candidates equal to the open seats. They're going to call it an election, but there will only be one candidate for each seat, which is crazy. They're making it incredibly difficult to make any changes. It used to be, if you want to join the board, like Wim Reams did, he had to get 500 people to petition. Now they're going to turn it to 1% of the membership, which would be like 2,000, and essentially unobtainable. There are many other things. So what they're basically doing is just making themselves into permanent members that can never be fired. They can just do whatever they want, which is incredible. So it's probably very important, and I'll, of course, try and watch out for that vote and vote on it. But you will all be, if you're not members of ISC Squared now, which I suppose you mostly are not, you will be before long. You will discover that you can't get promoted very far in information security without getting a CISSP. Although a few people do, you pretty much discover before long that people expect you to have it and you ought to get it. Anyway, all right. So California made a desalination plant. They were going to make a really big one, and the environmental review blocked that one because it turned out that it would dump far too much highly salty water, I think, into the ocean. But this one here, they had a pretty good point. They put it next to some other plant, I think a sewage treatment plant, that was dumping what was essentially fresh water into the ocean. So they're going to put the salty water in next to the fresh water, and that'll do less harm. And it's also smaller. And they say doing this with smaller regional plants is probably better. And of course, we're now in an 18-year drought, and with climate change, we can just expect this to continue forever. So we're going to have to do more things to get water, and it seems like desalinating the ocean water is one of the many things we're going to have to do. So Firefox has a new search feature called Relay, which apparently it already had the ability to give you a temporary email account, so you could sign up for something and have the email go someplace where it wouldn't bother you, which I didn't know. And now they're offering a feature where they also give you a temporary phone number to use, although apparently it's not free. You pay something for it. So that's interesting. I know I use Mailinator for throwaway emails, and I think Mailinator has some ability to give you a phone number where you can receive an SMS message too to activate an account. So this headline is, as usual, quite impenetrable. It took me a try this morning just to remember what it's about. This is cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is under such rapid development, is the polite way to say it. The cynical way to say it is that they're all a bunch of crooks and they like to confuse you. But anyway, they're constantly inventing new acronyms like crazy and throwing them around as if they expect you to know what they mean. And so anyway, this is one of the many cross-chain platforms. Now, Cosmos is one of the chains that lets you run smart contracts. In the cryptography course, we're doing security audits of smart contracts, or at least we're finding security flaws, demonstrating security flaws in smart contracts on the most popular chain, Ethereum. But there are alternative chains that can run smart contracts, and Cosmos is one of them. And they found a major security flaw in their interchain transfers. Yes, Mobo has a point. Got to fund the North Korean military some way. Well, yes, that certainly is another side effect of crypto. All these poorly coded projects create an incredible amount of money that can be stolen by a lot of people, including the North Koreans. North Koreans steal their share of it. So anyway, they found a critical vulnerability, and apparently they fixed it before their CrossChain platform got hacked, which is nice because many of them get hacked. And they said as soon as 1/3 of the voting power has applied the patch, the chain is no longer vulnerable. So it sounds like it enabled something like a 51% attack, which is a fundamental flaw in basically all cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency works on a sort of democratic principle where the miners or other stakeholders get to vote on a block that's being added to the chain. And so if some evil person was to control more than half of them, they would be able to vote on a false block being added to the chain and basically steal money. And apparently here, that number is 1/3. Anyway, they claim this one got fixed before it was exploited. We will see. One thing to know about vulnerabilities and exploitation and patching is almost always the first patch, well, not almost always, but very frequently the first patch doesn't work. When you report a vulnerability, usually they ignore you. If they listen to you, they issue a patch, and usually the patch is not very good, and you can easily just get around it. So we'll see. But anyway, maybe that's going to work. Equifax is a financial company that rates people, and they punish you if you have a second job. And so I see a question for the username and password. I'll do that after news. Anyway, so now in the financial world, this is probably necessary because there are disclosure requirements and confidentiality issues and conflict of interest issues. So if you work at a bank, you're typically forbidden from simultaneously working at a different bank. So Equifax found some people and found their people who have two jobs, which is easier to do probably than usual with remote work. But the problem is colleges are doing this. I know someone who works at another college, and they're trying to say that college professors cannot work at another job. And that is outrageous. Many college professors do. Most of the people do in tech. In fact, many colleges are very proud of this. If you go to SANS says we only hire instructors that are working full-time in the industry and teaching a class on the side, because then they're up to date on industry trends. And many teachers do consulting on the side like I do. Many teachers teach at multiple colleges. Part-timers pretty much have to these days because you can't make enough to survive any other way. So although I understand financial industries have to block this, there is no sane reason for colleges to block it. In fact, they should highly encourage it, because one of the big problems at colleges is people become full-time college professors and they're no longer connected to the industry, and they get out of touch and out of date, and they end up teaching old stuff that is no longer relevant. Anyway, that's enough of the news. Let me stop this recording.